Good afternoon. It's Friday, August the 3rd, and it's the last week of classes. Most of you have already figured that out. I note that most of the posters have been uploaded on the website, and some of you have started to complete your evaluations. I really appreciate that that's gotten started. Please let me know if you're having any difficulties with it. The posters themselves, from what I've seen so far, are very interesting, very exciting. The projects that have occurred this semester are actually quite interesting. In this last week of the class, I'm asking you to just hang in one more week because we've got to cover the last bit of synthesizing information. The clinical advanced practice nurse or a bioscience researcher has special responsibilities in terms of ethical and legal aspects related to information technology, as well as in personal and professional career development. And that will be our topic for the last week of the semester. I have you doing several activities this week. First, you're going to be reviewing each other's posters by using the quizzes function on the course website. Second, you'll be building an e-portfolio for those of you who haven't started to do that already, and you can do that within the Learn at UW website, or you could do it in using other tools that are suggested in your textbook or are suggested online. And finally, I'm going to have you increase your sense of responsibility and accountability around ethics, legal, and political issues related to informatics. There is a brief 15-minute video available on the website that I'd like you to review. This was built for last year's class, so some of the references are a little outdated, and it refers to some class activities that we may not actually get to this year. But what it does is gives you an overview of the ethical premises that guide our work in the use of information technology. I ask you to pay particular attention to this because as an advanced practice nurse or as a researcher, you're going to have a particular role in taking leadership in these areas. I want you to become familiar with high-tech and the Affordable Care Act and the incentives for meaningful use, because these are all what we call federal levers that are increasing the use of information technology in the care of patients. It's important for you to understand that we stand at the precipice of creating information tools that will actually make coordinated care and accountable care truly feasible in our country. And yet doing so and shaping it in a way that achieves the goals that patients have and from the perspective that nurses or researchers have requires that you first and foremost understand the foundations of information as you've been working all through the semester. Secondly, you keep yourself abreast of emerging trends such as the High-Tech Act or the Supreme Court decision about the Affordable Care Act. And third, that you find a way to communicate your opinions around information-related or informatics-related public policies to the appropriate individuals. Several of you have done so already when you took Field Project 1 and wrote letters to our current legislators. I'm now asking you to consider how you would find opportunities to comment on healthcare reform or health information technologies where you as an advanced practice nurse or a researcher might have very special things to comment on. For example, in the fall of this year, the National Quality Forum is going to have a comment period on the patient-reported outcome measures. Patient-reported outcome measures are the comments from patients that give us an indication that our care was effective or not. It's critically important that nursing weigh in on these patient-reported outcome measures because they will be the metrics that are used to determine if your care is effective, is accountable, and most importantly, should be reimbursed for. Nursing should take a look and take the opportunity to make public comment around information tools like new terminologies for quality measurement when these opportunities arise. How do you make yourself aware of these opportunities? Well, often your professional association is your best place because they will be keeping a legislative briefing available and open to you. Now, I want you to think for a few minutes about the ethical premises that we operate from. Your text does a very nice job talking about ethics and informatics, and the short video that's available on the course website gives you a little bit more depth about how to apply ethical reasoning to informatics considerations. Importantly, for those of you in the group who are nurses, you should look to the code, which is the statement from ANA on the ethical premises of nursing, and some in particular relate to how we provide information and make use of it in our practices. There's also some ethical statements that have been made by other societies, such as the Medical Library Association, that talk about the ethics of information for patients and the rights of information to have access to patients. I want you to take a good look at that information and begin to consider how you can integrate that into your practice. I've given you pointers to three different resources, some here at the university and two at NIH, to give you more in-depth training on ethics and policy, particularly as it relates to data privacy and data security. You will be looked to as leaders in the area of advanced practice nursing or in the area of biological research, and you need to be aware of how the NIH is providing us backup and the guidance to make good, proper, and ethical decisions about the way we handle information. Finally, just a reminder, please to try to create your e-portfolio and begin to look at how you can begin to create the experience base and the evidence of experience that you'll need to foster your care. Increasingly, advanced practice nurses are called on to demonstrate that they have had a certain amount of successful experiences in a particular practice site to be able to acquire certification. An e-portfolio is a place to store that. In addition, for those of you who selected Field Project Option 1, Semester Project Option 1, you developed an e-portfolio as a resource to help keep your information about your project stored and in one place. E-portfolios, though, can have lots of good uses to creating communities of practice, shared expectations around clinical care challenges, and also for the researchers in the group, assistance with research challenges and research problems. Your text does a nice job integrating e-portfolios and other what we call Web 2.0 advances such as social networks to look at these information tools that we have emerging now, not as static repositories, but actually as dynamic tools that help us advance our practice. I want to finish by reminding you that tomorrow is August the 4th, the first Saturday in August, and we again have an open house at the Wisconsin Institutes for Discovery. I encourage you to come to visit us, to see the WID, maybe to introduce yourself to me so we get to meet once before the end of the semester. Please get your assessments of the posters in by 7 o'clock on Monday morning, and 5 of you will be notified by Tuesday morning that you will be presenting your posters in our class on Tuesday evening. If we have time, we'll do a couple of discussions on this week's reading also, but I suspect, given how interesting the posters are, that we're going to have lots of conversations about them. I wish you a pleasant weekend, and thanks very much for your time. Bye now.